Hello, smart people. Mr. H here. In this video, I'm going to walk you through Aleks 7-1 multiply property of exponents. This video is for a Math 1 student. All right, we're heading to problem number 1. Rewrite using the single exponent. All right, so I'm going to do, first I need to move it down a little bit more. Okay, there's two ways to do this problem. The first way, you can solve it by, go ahead, write them all out. 7 to the third power, it's just like 7 times 7 times 7, 3 times, all right? And 7 to the third power again, which is the second part, you're going to have another 7 times 7 times 7, right? And they multiply each other. You have the total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 7 multiply itself 6 times. You can write 7 to the 6th power like that. All right, that is one way to go. Now, there's another shorter way to do this. Did you know that, or we did learn this one in class, that 7 to the third power times 7 to the third power, if they have the same base, we're going to keep the base, and we will add the exponent. Multiply turn into adding the exponent. 3 plus 3 is 6. 7 to the 6th power. That is the other way to do this. Okay, now down here, problem 2, you have y to the 5th power times y to the 5th power. So the first y to the 5th power is y times y times y times y 5 times, right? And the second y, this one will just 1y times. The next one, y to the 5th power, is another group of y times y times y times y times y. All right, if we actually take time and count them, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the answer is y to 11 power. So that is one way to go. The second way to do this, y to the 5th power times y to the 5th power. So as we learned that if they all have the same base, you're going to keep the base and you're going to add the exponent. So that would be 5 plus, what is the power of the second y if you don't have any number there? The answer is y to the first power because you have at least one of them. So 5 plus 1 and plus the other 5. So y equal to 5 plus 1 is 6 plus 5 is 11. So y to the 11 power. All right, one more time, you have two ways to approach this problem. Either you write them all out and then count how many y do you have, or you can add the power together. Okay, on problem 3, I'm going to use the short way. So u to the third power times u, which is u to the first, times u to the fourth. So we keep the base, we add the exponent, 3 plus 1 plus 4. So that will give us u to the 8th power. That's it. All right, problem 4. So we multiply this. Negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24. X to the 7 times x. So as we just learned that if you multiply two numbers with the same base, or two exponents with the same base, we keep the base and we add the exponent. So that will be 24x to the 8th power. All right, next one. 5 and 6. All right, problem 5, same thing. So 3 times negative 7 is negative 21, right? X squared times x to the 6th power x squared times x to the 6th power. Instead of writing them all out, I can use the multiplication exponent rule by adding the power. So that will be negative 21 x squared plus 6, which is x8, negative 21 x to the 8th power. All right, now we're heading to problem number 6. Okay, we have 4y to the 7, x to the 7 times 2y times 6x squared. So we multiply all the numbers together first. So 4, I need to move it down a little bit. Okay, we're going to multiply all the numbers. 4 times 2 times 6. 4 times 2 is 8, times 6 is 48. Okay, then we look at the variable. I prefer x together, so x7 times x squared, x7 times x squared. And then we have y7 times y, right? y7 times y. Then we'll look into each of them. 48 is 48. Sorry, I'm going to write down here 48. This is x to the 7 times x squared. You multiply by adding the power. X of 7 plus 2 is x to the 9th power. Y7 times y, so you add the exponent. Y7 plus 1 is y to the 8th power. So our final answer is 48, x to the 9th, y to the 8th. That's it. All right, number 7. If you're not clear on number 6, slow down on number 7. Make sure you pause the video if you need to. So first, multiplying the number. 4 times 2 is 8, times 6 is 48. Coincidentally, it's the same thing, 48. Okay, now we look at the variable. For me, I slow down one step when I work with the variable. I will deal with x first. So x to the 4th power times x to the 3rd power. Right, and then I'm going to work with that in a second. W times w to the 7. W times w to the 7. Right. As we know that two exponents which have the same base, we're going to add the exponent. So 4 plus 3 will get me 7. And w of the first power times w to the 7. So 1 plus 7 give you 8. And we bring down the 48. So our final answer will be 48 x to the 7, w to the 8. And that's it. Problem 8 and 9. All right, problem 8. When we have the power of the power, what do I mean by that? You have the power outside of another power. So basically, we just multiplying them together. Okay, that will be u to the 10. Now, if you curious, which we already go over this one in class, if you curious, how can that happen? Why is 2 times 5? So here's the problem. Here's the reason why. U flipped to the 2nd power. So as we know that whatever raised to a power, it's going to multiply itself that many times. So u to the 5th power square, which means u to the 5th power times u to the 5th power twice. Right? The whole group multiplies out twice because of the square. Then as we know that earlier that if u to the 5th power times u to the 5th power, we can add the exponent. That will give you u to the 10. Or if we even neater, you're going to start with u to the 5th power. It's just 5u. U times u times u 5 times. And over here is u times u times u 5 times. So the total is u to the 10. So to save you through all the steps right there, they come up with the power rule. If you have the power outside the power, you can multiply, give you u to the 10. That's it. All right, we're going to look at that one more time down here. So we have two element inside. You have the numbers and you have the variable, right? So this is 8 to the first power and w to the first power. Different with the first one. The other example, you just have one variable. You just have a variable. Now you have coefficient and the variable. So they have two terms. You have to do. Sorry, I cannot use two terms. You have two elements. So you have to do is distribute 2 into parentheses. That will be 8 to the second power and w to the second power. 8 to the second power is 8 times 8 is 64 w squared. And that's it. All right. If you are not happy with this, you want to go in the long way. So we can have 8w squared. It's just like 8w times 8w twice. 8 times 8 is 64. W times w is w squared. Okay, that is how you get 64 w squared. But I want you to practice with distribute power because we're going to see the bigger problem later on, and you want to use the formula instead of going the long way because it's more step is more chance to get mistake or more room to make mistake. So problem 10, same idea. 3 to the first power, y to the first power. So we distribute 2 into parentheses. That will give you 3 squared, y squared. 3 squared is 9, y squared is y squared. So 9y squared is the final answer. Okay, now we do the same for this. So 3 to the first power, a to the first power, b squared. So we distribute the power into parentheses. That will be negative 3 to the fourth power, a to the fourth power, and b to the 8, because 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, negative 3 to the fourth power. It's just like negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, 4 times. Okay, negative 3 times negative 3 give you positive 9 times another positive 9, and that will give you positive 81. So 81, a to the 4, b to the 8th power. That's it. A to the 4 and b to the 8th power. All right, we go down to problem 12 and 13. All right, so this is 4 to the first power, b to the first power. We distribute 3 into the parentheses. So that will give you negative 4 to the third power, v to the third power, and u to the 12th, because 4 times 3 is 12. Now, negative 4 to the third power means that negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, like 3 times. Right? Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16 times negative 4. That will be negative 64. Right? So that will be negative 64 v to the third power and u to the 12th. And that is our final answer. That's it. All right, problem 13. Same idea. We see that this is the third or fourth time already. So 8 to the y power, a to the first, y to the first, x to the third. Then we distribute the square in. Right, that will be negative 8 to the second power, y to the second power, and x to the 6th, because 3 times 2 is 6. So 8 squared is negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64 y squared and x to the 6th power. All right, we on problem 14. I'm sorry if you see this problem is different with the one that we have earlier. For some reason, my path, the thing that I'm writing on, acting up, so it was frozen. So I have to download a new PDF file. All right, so go back to this one. So first, we're gonna do is distribute two in the first parenthesis has the power, so we have to distribute it in to each member inside of the parenthesis, each exponent. Now, this one has the negative sign, which means it's a negative one, right? So you also have to distribute the power into that negative one. So that will be negative 1 to the second power, x to the 8th, y to the 6th, and z to the 4, because 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. The second parenthesis doesn't have any power outside, so we can go ahead and just rewrite them. Times 2x squared y to the second power, and we're going to deal with them later. All right, so now we're going to look at the number here, negative 1 to the second power, which means negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, right? Negative 1 to the second power is negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1 times 2 is going to be 2. That times 2 is going to be 2. Now we're going to look at the x to the 8th power times x squared. Well, I can go back. X to the second times x 8. And then we're going to put y together. Y to the 6th power times y squared. And we keep the z. Z is by itself, so we're going to keep z. There's no z on the second group. So as we see that 2 stay, z stay. However, x's, we can work something here. X squared times x to the 8th power. When you multiply two exponents with the same base, you keep the base and you add the exponent. 2 plus 8 is 10. Same thing with the y. Keep the base. Y6 times 2, y6 times y2, you keep the base, you add the exponent. That will be y8. So your final answer is 2x to the 10 power, y to the 8, and z. That's it. That's the final answer. Now we go down to problem 15. It's the last problem. Okay, if you need more time on the previous problem, you have to pause the video and copy it down maybe. All right. The first group doesn't have power, so we don't have to worry about this. We're going to bring it down. Negative 3x squared, y to the 4, z to the 3rd. The second group has power, so we have to be careful on this. So we have to distribute 3 into 3, 3 into 2. But don't forget the y. Power of y is 1, so you're going to distribute it in. Seeing we have the sign, so we need to figure out what is the coefficient here, which is the negative 1. So you have to distribute 3 to the negative 1, which has power 1. That will be negative 1 to the 3rd power, x to the 9th, y to the 3rd, and z to the 6th. Now negative 1 to the 3rd power would be negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 3 times. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1 times another negative 1, which will be a negative 1. So I'm going to rewrite the first group. Make sure when you work on this problem, especially on your test, slow down. Do not go too fast. Okay, this -1, we just work it out. -1 to the third power, we just work it out. That's just -1. X9, Y3, Z6. Okay, they all multiply each other. So now we're going to work with the numbers. -3 times -1. That will give you +3. Negative times negative is positive. X squared times X9. Okay, we can write them together first, and then we're going to add the power after. And the Y4 times Y3, Y to the 4 times Y to the third power. And Z3 times Z6, Z3 times Z6, Z to the third power times Z to the sixth power. So now we're gonna do is we're gonna multiply them up. So this is 3. X squared times X9, you keep the base, you add the power. That will give you 11 because 2 plus 9 is 11. Y, we keep the Y. 4 plus 3, Y to the 7. Z, 3 plus 6, Z to the 9 power. So our final answer here is 3x to the 11, y 7, and z 9. All right, it's happened again. I cannot erase that, z 9. All right. If you need more time, you can go ahead, pause the video or rewatch it. Again, the last two problem is look not so hard, but be careful. There's a lot of room to make mistakes. Okay. All right. Uh, I hope that this video gonna help you finish your homework. Please give me a like button. I don't get paid for this, but when you give me a like, it's give me a motivation to do the video, so I don't feel like I waste my personal time to make something that is not helpful. All right. Thank everyone, and see you on the next video.